Now at big tech's moves against the president on social media with Kara Swisher. She's from the New York Times, host of the Sway podcast. Kara, thank you for joining us today. So the president's banned from Twitter, 88 million followers, banned from Facebook, 35 million followers. Parler appears to be getting shut down. What do you make of all this?
Well, you know, this has been going on for a long time. President Trump has been violating rules all over social media for a long time, but they gave him a pass because he was considered a newsworthy figure. And now, you know, then they started to label him, as you know, and that wasn't very effective. And he continued to press the game and game these social media companies. And then at this point, when he was part of incitement using their tools, they decided to shut him down finally. And of course, it comes at the end. This has been, you know, 4 years of this going on, and now at the end they finally realize how dangerous it is because of what happened at the Capitol. So what's happening here is social media took way too long to deal with this issue, and of course it resulted in what happened.
Now you're seeing the president's son and his supporters complaining about censorship and double standards. They say that Twitter and Facebook don't knock the Ayatollah off Twitter. They're also saying that the president's First Amendment rights are being violated.
They're not. They're not being violated. These are private companies. They are not public squares. And unfortunately, a lot of the people who are complaining, many of whom work in Congress, haven't really read the First Amendment, which says Congress shall make no law against abridging freedom of speech. It doesn't say that that Facebook or Twitter or Apple or anybody should make no law. They can do whatever they want. They're private businesses, very similar to a restaurant where someone comes in and rants and starts to threaten violence and things like that. They get kicked out. And so this is a private enterprise, and a lot of their arguments, I mean, I know I made a joke last night on Twitter about this. It sounds pretty socialist if they want to control private companies. Now, it's uncomfortable because these companies have become an important way for President Trump to communicate with people, and it's problematic for them. But it certainly isn't censorship. It's a business deciding they don't want to be involved having their tools facilitate domestic terrorism, and I think that's relatively reasonable and far too late in coming for these companies to have done anything about it. They're also culpable in how long it took them to do anything.
How about this argument from the ACLU? Quote, this is their senior legislative counsel, Kate Wayne. She says, we understand the desire to permanently suspend him now, but it should concern everyone when companies like Facebook and Twitter wield the unchecked power to remove people from platforms that become indispensable for the speech of billions. President Trump can turn to his press team or Fox News to communicate with the public, but others, like the many Black, brown, and LGBTQ activists who've been censored by social media companies, will not have that luxury.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. We have to have a long debate about these sites because they begin so big, and there's not enough innovation or enough companies in this area, and that's about power, and that's about market power and things like that. But the fact of the matter is they are private companies. They are not the public square, and so we need maybe more private companies that are doing this. We need more diversity in the kinds of social media sites that we have. We now have one company, Facebook, which really controls quite a bit of social media, and then we have Twitter, and then we have the other companies who have other powers. And so that's a bigger debate that we need to have, and it is solved through innovation and the ability to have as many places where people can facilitate conversation. I think the issue, though, is that President Trump violated rules that were very specific, and he did it over and over again, and then moved over to really, which is the bright red line for a lot of these companies, which is incitement of violence. It's very clear from the get-go that these companies have said this. Now, they are capricious in how they enforce these things, and that's another issue, is that we've left a lot of this to private companies to capriciously decide which rules are which. But the fact of the matter is they are private companies, and so to link it with the First Amendment is problematic. The second part is to try to change the narrative around what's happening here. They'd like to focus on that they've lost followers. Well, many people lost their lives this week, and so that's what's going on with a lot of the noise around censorship, is they don't want anybody to focus on the arrests and the problems and the violence that happened at the Capitol, as you're seeing through more videos. And so that's really the issue going forward, is we've got to have smart legislation around the power of tech companies, which I've called for years, but at the same time not react in this way that they've taken away, you know, all my toys, and that's unfair. It's just specious what they're doing right now.
Kara Swisher, thanks for your insight. Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.